The smell of stale beer and sweat hung thick in the air, a familiar aroma of the rusty mic, the dive bar where I, Dylan, resident struggling musician, held a weekly residency. Not exactly Carnegie Hall, but hey, it paid the rent. Partially. The rest came from my day job slinging lattes at Coffee Craze, where the only music was the incessant whirring of the espresso machine. Glamorous, right? Not exactly the rockstar life I'd envisioned. But hey, a man's gotta do what a man's gotta do to support his dreams. And more importantly, to support her dreams. Emily. My Emily. With her fiery red hair, piercing blue eyes, and a talent that could make Shakespeare sound like a rom-com, she was destined for stardom. Hollywood stardom, not the dingy, dimly lit stage of the rusty mic. She was an actress, and a damn good one. She poured her heart and soul into every audition, every acting class, every community theater production. And I was her biggest fan. Her roadie, her personal chef, ramen noodles, anyone? Her on-call therapist after a particularly brutal rejection. It wasn't easy. My own music was taking a back seat, my guitar gathering dust in the corner of our cramped apartment, the lyrics for my next song scribbled on napkins between coffee orders. But seeing Emily shine, seeing the fire in her eyes when she landed a role, hearing the applause after a performance, it fueled me, it kept me going. Because we were dreamers, Emily and I. We had this shared vision of a future where she'd be gracing the silver screen, accepting Oscars in a dazzling gown, and I'd be headlining sold-out stadiums, my music echoing through the hearts of millions. It was a long shot, sure. We were young, broke, and living on a diet of instant noodles and unwavering optimism. Our apartment was more crack den than creative haven. Our furniture a collection of mismatched hand-me-downs and questionable Craigslist finds. But we had each other, and we had our dreams, and that, we believed, was enough. So I kept slinging lattes, strumming my guitar in the rare quiet moments, and cheering Emily on from the sidelines. Because that's what love is, right? Sacrifice, support, believing in someone else's dreams, even when your own are on hold. And who knows, maybe one day those shared dreams would become a reality. Maybe one day we'd both be standing on that stage, bathed in the spotlight, our names echoing through the applause. Maybe one day. "I got it!" Emily shrieked, bursting through the door of our apartment, a whirlwind of energy and excitement. "I got the part, Dylan. I got the part." I nearly jumped out of my skin, sending a cascade of coffee beans scattering across the floor. "Whoa! Whoa! Slow down!" I said, my heart pounding. "What part? What are you talking about?" She was practically bouncing off the walls, her eyes sparkling, her cheeks flushed. "The TV show, Dylan. The one I auditioned for last month. City Lights. I got the lead role." My jaw dropped. City Lights? That was huge. A primetime drama on a major network. This wasn't some community theater gig or a student film. This was the real deal. "Emily, that's incredible," I said, pulling her into a hug, my own excitement bubbling up. "I'm so proud of you." She squeezed me tight, her voice muffled against my chest. "I can't believe it, Dylan. It's a dream come true." And it was, our dream. The one we'd shared, the one we'd clung to through the late nights, the ramen noodle dinners, the endless rejections. It was finally happening. We celebrated that night, splurging on takeout from our favorite Thai place. No more instant noodles for a while. Toasting to Emily's success with cheap champagne and dancing around our tiny apartment like a couple of lunatics. The next few weeks were a blur of activity. Emily was constantly on the go, attending meetings, rehearsals, costume fittings. The energy in our apartment shifted. It was still filled with excitement, but there was a new edge to it, a sense of purpose, a feeling that things were finally falling into place. And with that shift, I noticed a subtle change in Emily. A newfound confidence, a sense of self-assurance that she hadn't possessed before. She held her head a little higher, her smile a little wider, her voice a little more commanding. It was a good change, of course. She was blossoming, her talent finally getting the recognition it deserved. But there was a part of me, a small, insecure part, that felt left behind. I was still working my two jobs, still struggling to find time for my music, still living in the shadow of her burgeoning success. And as I watched her shine, a nagging question started to whisper in the back of my mind. Would there still be room for me in her new glamorous life? Would I be able to keep up, to match her ambition, to be the partner she deserved? The doubts were subtle, easily dismissed in the whirlwind of her excitement. But they were there, a tiny crack in the foundation of our shared dream, a hint of the storm that was brewing on the horizon. The air in our tiny apartment was thick with tension, the kind that makes you want to open a window even in the middle of winter. Emily sat across from me, her face pale, her eyes avoiding mine. Something was wrong, very wrong. "Dylan," she began, her voice trembling slightly, "we need to talk." My stomach clenched. Those 4 words, the harbinger of doom in any relationship. "Okay," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. "What's up?" She took a deep breath, her gaze finally meeting mine. "I'm leaving you, Dylan." The words hit me like a sucker punch, knocking the wind out of me. "Leaving? What do you mean?" "I mean, it's over," she said, her voice cold, devoid of the warmth and affection I was used to. "We're done." "Done?" I echoed, my voice cracking. "But why?" "Because," she hesitated, searching for the right words. "Because this isn't working anymore. We're going in different directions." "Different directions?" I repeated, confusion swirling in my head. "But we had plans, dreams." "Those were your dreams, Dylan," she interrupted, her voice sharp. "Not mine. I'm going places, Dylan, upwards, and you're holding me back." "Holding you back?" I said, the words catching in my throat. "But I supported you. I believed in you." "I know," she said, her voice softening slightly, but with a patronizing tone that made my blood run cold. "And I appreciate that. But I need someone who can keep up. Someone who matches my ambition, my drive." "Ambition!" I scoffed, the anger finally starting to bubble up. "You think I'm not ambitious? I'm working 2 jobs, Emily. 2, so you can pursue your dreams." "That's not the kind of ambition I'm talking about, Dylan," she said, her voice dismissive. "You're content with mediocrity, with your little gigs at that dive bar, your coffee shop job. I need someone who understands the world I'm entering, someone who can navigate the red carpets and the Hollywood parties." "So that's it?" I said, my voice trembling with a mixture of anger and hurt. "I'm not glamorous enough for you? Not successful enough?" "Don't put words in my mouth, Dylan," she said, her voice cold again. "I'm just saying, we're not right for each other anymore. I need someone who can be my partner, not my project." And with that, she stood up, grabbed her purse, and walked out of the door, leaving me sitting there, shattered, the echoes of her words ringing in my ears. I was devastated, confused, and utterly blindsided. The woman I loved, the woman I'd sacrificed everything for, had just dumped me because I wasn't ambitious enough, because I wasn't on her level. The irony was bitter. I'd poured my heart and soul into supporting her dreams, only to be discarded like yesterday's news the moment she achieved them. It was a betrayal that cut deeper than any rejection I'd ever experienced. And as I sat there in the silence of our now empty apartment, the weight of her words crushing me, I knew that my life had just changed forever. The apartment felt strangely empty, not just because Emily's clothes were gone, her side of the bed untouched, but because the air itself seemed to have been sucked out, leaving a vacuum of silence and despair. I wandered through the rooms, the remnants of her presence mocking me. A stray hair tie on the bathroom counter, a half-finished book on the nightstand, the faint scent of her perfume lingering in the air. The first few days were a blur. I called in sick to both jobs, the thought of facing the world, of pretending everything was okay, too much to bear. I barely ate, barely slept, the only sustenance a steady diet of cheap beer and self-pity. My guitar lay abandoned in the corner, its strings gathering dust. The thought of music, of creating, of pouring my heart out into a song, felt impossible. What was the point? Emily, my muse, my inspiration, was gone. And with her, it seemed, my music had vanished too. I tried to distract myself. I watched mindless TV shows, scrolled through social media. A mistake, as every other post seemed to be about Emily and her amazing new life. Even attempted to clean the apartment, a valiant effort that ended with me sobbing into a pile of dirty laundry. Nothing worked. The pain was a constant companion, a dull ache in my chest that intensified with every passing hour. I replayed our last conversation over and over in my head, searching for answers, for clues, for some explanation that would make sense of it all. Had I been blind? Had I missed the signs? Had she been planning this all along, her affection a carefully constructed facade, her dreams a stepping stone to a life without me? The doubts gnawed at me, eroding my self-worth, my confidence, my very identity. I felt like a failure, a loser, a discarded toy that was no longer shiny and new. The darkness closed in, suffocating me with its weight. I was lost, adrift in a sea of despair with no land in sight. The dreams we'd shared, the future we'd envisioned, now seemed like a cruel mockery, a reminder of what I'd lost, of what I'd never have. And as I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, the silence deafening, the emptiness overwhelming, I wondered if I would ever find my way back to the light. The darkness was thick, heavy, like a wet blanket smothering any flicker of hope. I'd spent days in my apartment, a self-imposed exile of bad beer, tear-stained pillows, and the deafening silence of a life without Emily's laughter. My guitar, a faithful companion for years, sat untouched in the corner, a silent testament to my creative paralysis. Then Mike showed up. Again. Bless his persistent, slightly annoying, but ultimately life-saving soul. He barged in, armed with pizza, a six-pack, and his usual brand of relentlessly optimistic pep talks. "Dude, you look like you haven't seen sunlight since the Jurassic period," he said, wrinkling his nose at the general state of my apartment. And probably me. "Seriously, you gotta get out of here." I grunted, sinking further into the couch. "What's the point?" "The point," he said, grabbing my dusty guitar, "is that you're a musician, and musicians make music." He started strumming a familiar chord progression, a riff from an old song I'd almost forgotten I'd written. It was a silly song, a goofy love song about a girl with mismatched socks and a laugh that could melt glaciers. A song about Emily. My stomach clenched. I almost told him to stop, the melody a painful reminder of what I'd lost. But then something happened. As Mike played, a flicker of recognition sparked within me, a tiny ember of creativity, buried deep beneath the layers of hurt and self-doubt. He finished the riff looking at me expectantly. "Remember this one?" I nodded, my voice hoarse. "Yeah, I wrote it for Emily." "Well, write another one," he said, handing me the guitar. "Write about whatever, just write. Get it out." I hesitated, my fingers hovering over the strings. It felt wrong, like I was betraying her memory or cheapening our relationship by turning it into a song. But then I thought about what Mike had said, about being a musician, and I realized he was right. Music was my outlet, my way of processing emotions, of making sense of the world. Even the painful parts. I took the guitar, my fingers finding the familiar chords, the muscle memory kicking in. I started to strum, tentatively at first, then with more confidence. The melody was simple, melancholic, but there was a hint of defiance in it, a spark of resilience. I didn't write about Emily. Not directly, anyway. I wrote about loss, about heartbreak, about the struggle to find your way back to the light after the darkness. I wrote about the power of music to heal, to connect, to give voice to the unspoken emotions that churned inside me. The song wasn't perfect. It was raw, vulnerable, and a little bit messy, just like I was. But it was honest. It was me. And as I sang the last note, a strange sense of relief washed over me. It was like I'd finally exhaled, released a breath I'd been holding for weeks. "That's actually pretty good," Mike said, a genuine smile on his face. I shrugged, feeling a flicker of pride. "It's something," I said. And it was. It was a start. A tiny spark in the darkness. A sign that maybe, just maybe, I could find my way back to the music, back to myself. It wouldn't be easy. The pain was still there, a dull ache in the background. But for the first time in weeks, I felt a glimmer of hope. A sense that maybe, just maybe, I could survive this. And maybe even create something beautiful out of the ashes of heartbreak. The guitar felt strange in my hands at first, like picking up a long-lost limb, the familiar weight and shape somehow foreign after weeks of neglect. But as my fingers found the chords, the muscle memory kicking in, it was like reconnecting with an old friend, a friend who'd been waiting patiently for me to return. I sat on the floor of my messy apartment, surrounded by crumpled lyrics scribbled on napkins, scraps of paper, even a pizza box. Hey, inspiration strikes in weird places. The melody from that old song Mike had played kept swirling in my head, a melancholic tune that seemed to echo the emptiness inside me. But I didn't want to write about Emily. Not directly, anyway. I didn't want to give her the satisfaction of knowing she was still haunting my thoughts, fueling my creativity. I wanted to write about the feeling, the raw, gut-wrenching pain of heartbreak, the confusion, the anger, the sense of betrayal. I started to strum, experimenting with different chords, searching for the right sound, the right emotion. The melody that emerged was slow, mournful, but with an undercurrent of defiance. It was a bluesy riff, tinged with a rock and roll edge, a reflection of the turmoil inside me. The lyrics came slowly at first, hesitant, like pulling teeth. I'd write a line, then scratch it out, then write another, agonizing over every word, every syllable. I wanted to capture the raw honesty of my experience, the vulnerability, the messy, imperfect reality of heartbreak. I wrote about the silence in the apartment, the way her absence echoed through the rooms, the ghost of her perfume lingering in the air. I wrote about the confusion, the feeling of being blindsided, the questions that kept swirling in my head, unanswered and agonizing. I wrote about the anger, the burning rage that threatened to consume me, the desire to lash out, to hurt her the way she'd hurt me. But beneath the anger, there was something else, a deeper emotion that I struggled to articulate. Sadness. A profound, bone-deep sadness for what we'd lost, for the future that would never be. The song started to take shape, verse by verse, chorus by chorus. It was a cathartic process, a way of channeling my pain, of giving voice to the emotions I'd been bottling up for weeks. It was like therapy, but with a guitar instead of a couch. I worked on the song for days, neglecting everything else. I skipped meals, ignored phone calls, even forgot to shower. Sorry, Mike. I was consumed by the music, driven by a desperate need to express myself, to make sense of the chaos inside me. The lyrics became more specific, more pointed, but still veiled in metaphor. I wrote about a city of broken dreams, a love that turned to ash, a heart left in the rain. I didn't mention Emily by name, but anyone who knew our story would know who I was singing about. The music built, the melody growing stronger, the lyrics more powerful. The song was raw, vulnerable, but also defiant, a testament to my resilience, my refusal to be broken by heartbreak. Finally, after days of obsessive work, the song was finished. I played it through one last time, my voice hoarse, my fingers aching, but a sense of satisfaction washing over me. It wasn't just a song. It was a release, a way of exorcising the demons that had been haunting me, and I titled it City Lights, a nod to the show that had launched Emily's career, the show that had ultimately become the symbol of our breakup. It was my way of reclaiming the narrative, of turning my pain into something beautiful, something powerful. something that I had a feeling would resonate with anyone who had ever experienced the sting of heartbreak. Little did I know, this song, born from the ashes of a broken relationship, would be the key to unlocking my own dreams. It was the song that would change everything. I wasn't expecting much when I uploaded City Lights. I mean, I'd posted songs before, a few originals, some covers, all to a mostly indifferent online audience. It was more about getting my music out there, a way to connect with, well, anyone who would listen. But this time was different. It started slowly. A few likes, a couple of comments from friends and family. Nice song, Dylan. You've really captured that heartbreak vibe. Then things started to escalate. The likes turned into hundreds, then thousands. The comments flooded in, not just from people I knew, but from strangers all over the world. This song is everything, one comment read. I'm literally sobbing. Dude, your voice is amazing, another said. And the lyrics, so raw, so real. This is my new breakup anthem, someone else declared. Thank you for putting my pain into words. I was stunned. People were actually connecting with my music, with my pain, with my story. It was overwhelming and exhilarating. Then the shares started. People were sharing my song on their profiles, on music forums, on Reddit threads. It was like a wildfire, spreading organically, fueled by the raw emotion and the universal experience of heartbreak. I started getting messages, emails, DMs from people I'd never met, telling me how much my song meant to them, how it had helped them through a tough time, how it had given them the courage to move on. It was humbling, inspiring, and a little bit terrifying. And then, the real explosion happened. A music blogger, some influential guy with a massive online following, stumbled across my song. He shared it on his blog, raving about my raw talent, my soulful voice, and my ability to capture the human experience with heartbreaking honesty. His post went viral. Suddenly, my song was everywhere. It was being shared by celebrities, played on radio stations, even featured on a morning talk show. My phone was blowing up with notifications, my inbox overflowing with interview requests, my social media accounts exploding with new followers. It was surreal. One minute, I'm a struggling musician, working 2 jobs to make ends meet. The next, I'm a sensation, a viral phenomenon, a voice for the heartbroken masses. The music industry came knocking. Record labels, agents, managers, all vying for my attention, promising me fame, fortune, and a future beyond my wildest dreams. It was a whirlwind, a dizzying experience that I was barely equipped to handle. But through it all, I kept coming back to the music, to the song that had started it all, the song that had poured out of me in a moment of raw vulnerability, a testament to the power of heartbreak and the resilience of the human spirit. And as I watched my song climb the charts, my name appearing on billboards and magazine covers, I realized that something incredible had happened. I had found my voice, and the world was listening. Life had become a whirlwind of flashing lights, screaming fans, and a constant stream of VIP this and platinum that. It was a long way from stale beer at the Rusty Mike and burnt coffee at Coffee Craze. City Lights had catapulted me into a whole new stratosphere, a world of private jets, sold-out stadiums, and interviews with people who actually cared what I had to say. The first time I saw my face on a billboard, I nearly crashed my now significantly less crappy car. There I was, larger than life, staring down at the LA freeway with the words Dylan City Lights plastered underneath. It was surreal, like stepping into an alternate reality where I was the star of my own movie. The tours were insane. Screaming fans, a sea of faces stretching as far as the eye could see, their cheers a deafening roar that vibrated through the stadium. The air crackled with energy, a mix of excitement, anticipation, and the electric hum of thousands of bodies pressed together. The lights were blinding, strobing across the stage, casting long, distorted shadows that danced with the rhythm of the music. The smell of sweat, hairspray, and something vaguely floral hung heavy in the air. A heady mix that was both intoxicating and slightly nauseating. Confetti rained down like colorful snow, sticking to my hair and clothes. A tangible symbol of the celebration. The bass drum thumped in my chest, a rhythmic pulse that mirrored the beating of my heart. The guitars wailed, their melodies soaring above the roar of the crowd, their notes piercing through the chaos and reaching into the depths of my soul. And then there was my voice, amplified and echoing through the stadium, singing the words that had poured out of me in a moment of raw vulnerability, the words that had connected with millions of people all over the world. It was an overwhelming experience, a sensory overload that left me breathless and exhilarated. I was no longer just Dylan, the guy who played in dive bars. I was Dylan, the artist, the voice, the icon. My music was everywhere. Radio stations couldn't get enough of it. My songs topping the charts alongside artists I'd idolized since I was a kid. Music videos, award shows, interviews. It was a non-stop whirlwind of activity. I even had my own Wikipedia page, which I'll admit I may have edited a few times to make myself sound cooler. One minute I'm doing an interview with Rolling Stone, trying to sound all deep and insightful about my creative process and the message behind my music. Which, let's be honest, was mostly just Emily broke my heart and now I'm famous. So, Dylan, the interviewer asks, pen poised above his notepad. City Lights has clearly resonated with a lot of people. What do you think it is about the song that's connected with so many? I shrug, trying to play it cool. I guess everyone's been through heartbreak, right? It's a universal experience, and I just put it all out there, raw and honest. No sugarcoating, no BS. And the new album, he continues, it's even more personal, more vulnerable. Is it difficult to be so open about your life, your experiences? I pause, thinking about Emily, about the pain, the betrayal, the journey that had led me to this moment. Yeah, I say finally. It's tough. But it's also cathartic. It's like exorcising demons, turning pain into something beautiful. Another interview. This time it's a red carpet event, the flashing lights blinding, the reporters shouting questions over the din of the crowd. Dylan, over here. What's next for you, Dylan? Any new projects in the works? Dylan, any comment on the rumors about your relationship with... I try to navigate the chaos, answering questions with practiced ease, deflecting the more personal ones with a charming smile and a witty remark. It's a game, a performance, and I'm learning to play it well. Backstage at an award show, I bump into an artist I've idolized since I was a kid. He's older, a legend, a man who's seen it all. Hey, Dylan, he says, extending a hand. Great set tonight. You've got a real gift, kid. I shake his hand, starstruck. Thanks, man. That means a lot coming from you. Just keep it real, he says, his eyes twinkling. Don't let the fame go to your head. Remember why you started making music in the first place? It's a simple piece of advice, but it resonates with me. It's a reminder that amidst all the craziness, the glitz and glamour, the core of it all is still the music, the passion, the creativity, the connection with the fans. That's what truly matters, and that's what I need to hold on to no matter how famous I get. The best part? The fans. They were the ones who made it all worthwhile. The messages, the letters, the fan art. It was overwhelming and humbling. They connected with my music, with my story, with the raw honesty I'd poured into my songs. They saw themselves in my lyrics, in my struggles, in my triumphs. And it wasn't just about City Lights anymore. I was writing new music, fueled by the experiences, the emotions, the whirlwind of this new life. Songs about love, loss, hope, despair, the whole messy spectrum of human existence. And the fans loved it. They embraced my vulnerability, my authenticity, my willingness to bare my soul through my music. Of course, there were downsides. The lack of privacy, the constant scrutiny, the pressure to keep producing hits, the endless stream of parties, the temptations, the hangers-on who only cared about my fame, not me. It was a lot to handle, and there were moments when I felt lost, overwhelmed, like I was drowning in this new reality. But then, I'd step on stage, the lights hitting my face, the roar of the crowd washing over me, and I'd remember why I was doing this. It wasn't about the fame, the fortune, the accolades. It was about the music, about connecting with people, about sharing my story, about giving voice to the emotions that we all experience, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And as I stood there, bathed in the spotlight, my music echoing through the hearts of thousands, I knew that I'd found my purpose. I was no longer just Dylan, the struggling musician. I was Dylan, the artist, the icon, the voice of a generation. And it felt damn good. The irony wasn't lost on me. While I was headlining sold-out stadiums and my music was dominating the airwaves, Emily's star, the one that had shone so brightly just a few months ago, was starting to flicker. It wasn't like I was actively following her career. Okay, maybe I occasionally glanced at entertainment news sites, curious to see what she was up to. Old habits die hard, I guess. But mostly, I was focused on my own whirlwind of a life, too busy with interviews, tours, and writing new music to pay much attention to her. But the news was hard to ignore. It was everywhere. Emily's career in a slump? The headline screamed. From prime time to what's next? Whatever happened to the star of City Lights? It was a stark contrast to the headlines about me. Dylan's reign continues. From heartbreak to headlines, the Dylan story. Dylan's new album breaks records. It wasn't that I was happy about her downfall. Okay, maybe a little bit, but mostly it was just sad. Sad to see someone with so much talent struggling. Sad to see the fire in her eyes dimming. City Lights had been her big break, her ticket to Hollywood stardom. But after the initial buzz died down, the roles dried up. She did a few guest appearances on sitcoms, a couple of low-budget films that went straight to streaming, but nothing substantial. Nothing that would keep her in the spotlight. I'd see her name pop up in the tabloids, not for her acting roles, but for her social life. Parties, red carpets, celebrity gossip. It was all surface, all flash, no substance. She was clinging to the remnants of her 15 minutes of fame, desperately trying to stay relevant in a town that was notorious for its fickle nature. It was a familiar story. The cautionary tale of Hollywood. So many actors, so much talent, so little opportunity. And Emily, it seemed, was just another casualty of the system. The contrast between our careers was stark. While she was struggling to find her next role, I was headlining world tours, my music connecting with millions of people. While she was attending red carpet events for movies she wasn't even in. I was accepting awards for my music, awards that actually meant something. It wasn't about gloating or saying, "I told you so." It was more about a sense of irony. She'd left me because I wasn't ambitious enough, because I wasn't on her level. And now, here we were, our roles reversed. I was the one on the top, my career soaring, while hers was fading away. It made me think about the choices we make, the paths we take, the things we prioritize in life. Emily had chosen fame, fortune, the allure of Hollywood. She'd sacrificed love, loyalty, genuine connection for the fleeting promise of stardom. And now, it seemed, she was paying the price. I wasn't judging her. Okay, maybe a little bit. But mostly, I felt a pang of pity. She was so talented, so driven, so passionate. And yet, she was lost, adrift in a sea of rejection and disappointment. It made me appreciate my own journey, my own struggles, my own triumphs. I'd faced rejection, heartbreak, financial hardship, but I'd never given up on my music, on my passion, on my dream. And now, it was paying off. It also made me realize how lucky I was. I had a support system, friends, family, fans who believed in me, who loved my music, who saw me for who I was, not just for my fame. And that, I knew, was more valuable than any award, any headline, any amount of money. As I watched Emily's star fade, I couldn't help but wonder if she ever thought about me, about the life we could have had, about the love she'd thrown away. Did she regret her choices? Did she ever wonder what could have been? I didn't have the answers, and honestly, I wasn't sure I cared. I was too busy living my own life, pursuing my own dreams, finding my own happiness. And in the grand scheme of things, Emily's fading star was just a distant flicker in the background of my own, much brighter constellation. My phone buzzed, a notification flashing across the screen. It was a DM on Instagram. From Emily. My stomach did a weird little flip-flop. It had been months since I'd last heard from her. Months since I'd even thought about her, really. Okay, maybe not really, but mostly. I hesitated, my finger hovering over the message. Part of me, a small, foolish part, was curious. Part of me, the larger, wiser part, knew this was a bad idea, but curiosity won out. I opened the message. Dylan, it read. Her familiar, almost forgotten handwriting. Digital handwriting, I guess. Staring back at me. It's been a while. I've been thinking about you. Thinking about me? Seriously? After she dumped me, told me I wasn't ambitious enough? Traded me in for the promise of Hollywood glitz and glamour? Now, when I was selling out stadiums and my music was topping the charts. Now she was thinking about me. I scrolled through the rest of the message. It was a carefully crafted piece of emotional manipulation, a symphony of insincerity and thinly veiled desperation. She talked about how she'd always believed in me, how she knew I was destined for greatness, how she was so proud of everything I'd accomplished. I always knew you had it in you, Dylan, she wrote. You're so talented, so passionate. I remember when we were together, I used to tell everyone how amazing you were, how you were going to be a star. And look at you now. I'm so happy for you, Dylan. Truly. Happy for me? Right. She was happy for my fame, my money, my success. She was happy for the reflected glow of my newfound stardom. But she wasn't happy for me. I scoffed, a bitter laugh escaping my lips. She was laying it on thick, trying to play the supportive girlfriend card, the I always believed in you card. It was laughable and insulting. She went on, talking about how she'd been following my career, how she loved my new album, how she couldn't wait to see what I did next. She even mentioned City Lights, the song that had launched me into the stratosphere, the song that was, in essence, a giant FU to her and her shallow ambitions. That song, she wrote, it's so powerful, so moving. It really captures the pain of heartbreak, the struggle to overcome adversity. You're such a talented songwriter, Dylan. You have a gift. Oh, I had a gift, all right. A gift for turning pain into poetry, betrayal into ballads, and heartbreak into hit records. And she, apparently, was now a fan. The message ended with a casual invitation. I'd love to catch up sometime, Dylan, she wrote. It would be great to see you again, to hear all about your amazing success. Let me know if you're free. Catch up? Seriously? After she dumped me, told me I was holding her back, and chased after the fleeting allure of Hollywood fame, she wanted to catch up? It was beyond ridiculous. I deleted the message, a wave of disgust washing over me. She was so transparent, so manipulative, so pathetic. She didn't care about me, about my music, about anything but her own selfish desires. She saw my success as an opportunity, a chance to latch on to my rising star and bask in its reflected glory. The old Dylan, the insecure, heartbroken guy, might have fallen for it, might have been flattered by her attention, tempted by the possibility of rekindling our relationship. But I wasn't that guy anymore. I was Dylan, the musician, the icon, the one who had risen from the ashes of heartbreak to achieve his dreams. And I knew my worth. I knew what I deserved. And it certainly wasn't someone as shallow and manipulative as Emily. I picked up my guitar, a new melody swirling in my head, a song about insincerity, about opportunism, about the irony of a love that only reappears when the spotlight shines. It was going to be a good one. Karma's a Bitch, I titled it, a smirk playing on my lips as I finalized the track. It was a banger, a catchy-as-hell pop-rock anthem with a driving beat, soaring vocals, and lyrics that were, well, let's just say they weren't exactly subtle. I hadn't planned on writing a breakup song about Emily. Okay, maybe a little bit. But mostly, it just poured out of me, a cathartic explosion of frustration, anger, and a healthy dose of "I told you so." The lyrics were a mix of scathing commentary and thinly veiled references to our relationship, her shallow ambitions, and the way she'd treated me. I sang about a gold digger, a fame chaser, a heartbreaker, who only cared about red carpets and champagne wishes. "You thought I was a stepping stone," I sang, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "A rung on your ladder to the top. But honey, I'm the whole damn ladder and you just fell off." The chorus was an earworm, a catchy refrain that was guaranteed to get stuck in your head for days. "Karma's a bitch, baby. Yeah, she bites back hard. Now you're watching from the sidelines, wishing you had played your cards right." I knew it was risky. Releasing a song so obviously about my ex, especially when she was still somewhat in the public eye, could be seen as petty, or worse, vindictive. But I didn't care. I was done playing nice. I was done being the good guy, the one who always got screwed over. It was time for a little payback, a little dose of reality for the girl who thought she could have it all. And besides, the song was damn good. It was catchy, it was relatable, and it had a message that resonated with anyone who'd ever been underestimated or discarded. It was an anthem for the underdogs, the dreamers, the ones who got left behind. The release was explosive. The song hit the internet like a bomb, instantly trending on social media, racking up millions of streams within hours. Radio stations couldn't get enough of it, the catchy chorus blasting out of car speakers and coffee shops across the globe. The public reaction was, well, it was everything I could have hoped for. Fans loved it. They dissected the lyrics, analyzed the references, and debated the identity of the gold digger, though it wasn't exactly a secret. Memes were created, TikToks were choreographed, and the song became the unofficial anthem for anyone who'd ever been through a bad breakup. "This song is fire," one fan tweeted. "Dylan is officially the king of breakup anthems." "I'm screaming," another commented. "This is so savage, but so deserved." "Emily who?" someone else joked. "Never heard of her." The media, of course, had a field day. They dissected the lyrics, analyzed the timing, and speculated about Emily's reaction. They dug up old interviews, compared our careers, and generally reveled in the drama of it all. And Emily? Well, let's just say she wasn't happy. Her social media accounts went silent, her publicist went into overdrive trying to do damage control, and the tabloids had a field day with her humiliation. "Emily's career takes another hit," one headline screamed. "Dylan's revenge song tops the charts. From City Lights to Karma's a Bitch, the rise and fall of Emily," another proclaimed. "Is Emily's career over?" a particularly brutal article questioned. The schadenfreude was real, and I'll admit I wasn't immune to it. Seeing her squirm, seeing her carefully constructed facade crumble, brought a certain sense of satisfaction. But it wasn't about revenge, not really. It was about justice, about showing her and the world that I wasn't the one who'd lost out in the end. Karma's a Bitch became my biggest hit yet, surpassing even City Lights in popularity. It solidified my status as a global icon, a voice for the heartbroken, the underestimated, the ones who refuse to be defined by their past. And as I watched the song climb the charts, as I heard it blasting out of car windows and coffee shops, as I saw the fans singing along at my concerts, I knew that I'd done more than just write a breakup song. I'd created an anthem for anyone who'd ever been told they weren't good enough, who'd ever been discarded, who'd ever had their heart broken. And that, I realized, was a pretty damn good feeling. The message came through my manager, a carefully worded plea for a meeting, a chance to explain, a need for closure. Emily. Again. Apparently, Karma's a Bitch hadn't quite driven the message home. I almost ignored it. Almost. But there was a tiny part of me, a morbidly curious part, that wanted to see what she had to say. What kind of excuse, what kind of manipulation she would try to pull this time. "Fine," I told my manager, a smirk playing on my lips. "Set up a meeting, but make it quick. I have a songwriting session to get to." The meeting was at a trendy cafe, the kind of place where celebrities go to be seen, where the coffee costs more than a decent meal, and where everyone pretends not to notice the famous person in the corner booth. Emily arrived looking different. Gone was the Hollywood glam, the designer clothes, the perfectly coiffed hair. She was dressed in jeans and a t-shirt, her hair pulled back in a messy bun, her face devoid of makeup. She looked ordinary, almost vulnerable. It was a calculated look, of course, an attempt to appeal to my sympathy, to play the girl next door card, but I wasn't buying it. "Dylan," she said, her voice soft, hesitant. "Thank you for meeting me." "Sure," I said, my voice flat, emotionless. She looked around the cafe, her eyes darting nervously. "Can we talk somewhere more private?" "This is fine," I said, taking a sip of my ridiculously overpriced latte. She hesitated, then took a deep breath. "Dylan, I know I messed up. I know I hurt you, and I'm sorry." The apology was hollow, insincere. I could hear it in her voice, see it in her eyes. She wasn't sorry for what she'd done. She was sorry she'd gotten caught, sorry she'd missed out on my success. "Okay," I said, my voice still flat. I just wanted to explain," she continued, her voice trembling slightly. "I was confused back then. I didn't know what I wanted. I made a mistake." "A mistake?" I repeated, raising an eyebrow. "Leaving me? Telling me I wasn't good enough? Trading me in for a guy with a bigger bank account?" "It wasn't like that, Dylan," she protested, her voice rising. I was ambitious. I wanted to make something of myself. I didn't think you were serious about your music." "Serious?" I scoffed. "I was working 2 jobs to support your dreams, Emily? 2? And you thought I wasn't serious?" I know," she said, her voice softening again. "I was blind. I didn't see what I had, and now I've lost it all." "Lost what, Emily?" I asked, my voice hardening. "Your career? Your fame? Your chance to be a Hollywood star?" "No," she said, her eyes meeting mine, a flicker of genuine emotion finally breaking through the facade. "I lost you. I lost us." The confession caught me off guard. Was she being sincere? Was there a shred of truth beneath the layers of manipulation and regret? I studied her for a moment, searching for an answer in her eyes. But all I saw was emptiness, a hollow shell of the woman I once loved, the woman I'd shared my dreams with. "It's too late, Emily," I said, my voice gentle but firm. "You made your choice. And now, I've made mine." "But Dylan," she started to plead, but I cut her off. "I don't know you," I said, my voice cold, the words echoing the emptiness I felt inside. "I don't know who you are anymore, and frankly, I don't care." Her face crumpled, the carefully constructed mask finally shattering. She looked at me, her eyes filled with a mixture of shock, disbelief, and fear. The fear of being truly alone, of facing the consequences of her choices, of realizing that she'd traded genuine connection for fleeting fame and fortune. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. She just sat there, defeated, the weight of her mistakes finally crushing her. I stood up, a sense of finality washing over me. "Goodbye, Emily," I said, my voice devoid of emotion. And with that, I turned and walked away, leaving her sitting there, alone in the crowded cafe, a forgotten relic of a past I no longer wished to remember. I walked out into the sunshine, a new chapter unfolding before me. I had my music, my fans, my friends, and a newfound sense of self-worth that no amount of fame or fortune could ever buy. I had learned a valuable lesson about love, loyalty, and the importance of staying true to yourself, even when the world tries to pull you in a different direction. And as I walked towards my future, a future filled with possibilities and promise, I knew that I was exactly where I was supposed to be. Emily was a ghost of the past, a fading memory that no longer held any power over me. I was free. Free to create, to connect, to love, and to live a life that was truly my own. The final curtain had fallen on our story, and the applause was all mine.